And what if I told you that your hands hold an ancient power, one capable of healing pain, reducing stress, and transforming lives, including your own? No tools, no medicines, just your hands and your intention. This isn't fantasy. This isn't magic. It's an ancient practice, passed down for generations. And today, you're going to learn how to unlock it yourself. By the end of this video, you'll have the techniques and knowledge to start your own healing journey. So take a deep breath, and let's begin. Years ago, a woman named Sarah struggled with chronic migraines. Doctors gave her medications, but nothing worked. Desperate, she visited a Reiki healer. The healer didn't use needles, pills, or machines, just their hands held gently near Sarah's head. Within minutes, she felt a warmth, a lightness, and for the first time in years, relief. You see, every living being carries an energy field, a life force known as ki in Japanese, chi in Chinese, or prana in Sanskrit. When this energy flows freely, we experience balance, health, and clarity. But when it's blocked, illness, stress, and pain manifest. The good news is you already have this power, right here, in your hands. Reiki, one of the most well-known energy healing systems, teaches us that healing energy follows intention. Your hands are like antennas. They can sense, channel, and redirect energy. But how does this actually work? How can our hands, our thoughts, and our intentions influence something as complex as healing energy? Well, modern science is finally catching up with what ancient wisdom has known for centuries. At the Heart Math Institute, researchers have discovered that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond our body. This field isn't just measurable, it's also deeply influenced by our emotions, thoughts, and intentions. When we focus our energy with love, compassion, and intention, this electromagnetic field becomes more coherent, more harmonious. And it's this coherence that creates a ripple effect, not just within ourselves, but in those around us. This isn't just spiritual belief, it's measurable science, and it's one of the keys to understanding why energy healing through your hands can be so profoundly effective. The most powerful tool in healing isn't your hands, it's your intention. If you approach healing with doubt, you'll block the energy. If you approach it with love, trust, and focus, the energy flows effortlessly. Now, I invite you to do a quick experiment that will allow you to feel your own energy. First, rub your hands together for 15 seconds. Then, slowly pull them apart and notice the tingling sensation. Now imagine a small ball of light between your palms. That sensation you felt, that's your energy. And it's always there, waiting to be guided. Before you can begin the journey of healing yourself or someone else, you need to prepare, not just your space, but your mind, your body, and your spirit. Think of it like tuning an instrument before a beautiful performance. Without preparation, the music won't flow the way it's meant to. The same applies to healing energy. So let's set the stage together. First, find a quiet and peaceful place where you won't be disturbed. It could be a small corner of your room, a cozy spot near a window, or even outside in nature. The important thing is that it feels safe and calming to you. Dim the lights or light a candle if you have one. Soft, warm light has a way of soothing our nervous system and allowing us to settle into stillness. If it feels right, play gentle meditative music or healing frequencies like 432 Hz in the background. These subtle sounds can help your energy align more effortlessly. This is your sacred space, a space where you are free to connect with your energy without distractions. Next, we prepare the mind. A cluttered mind is like a stormy ocean. Energy cannot flow freely through the chaos. So let's calm those waves together. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and exhale slowly. Again, breathe in deeply, and let it out. As you breathe, Imagine each inhale filling your body with pure golden light. And with each exhale, release any tension, any stress, and any lingering worries. With every breath, feel yourself becoming lighter, clearer, and more present in this moment. Now that your space is set and your mind is clear, it's time to activate the energy in your hands. Your hands are not just physical tools, they are conduits for life force energy. Let's wake them up together. Place your hands together in Gasho, the prayer position, with your palms pressed gently against each other in front of your heart. Close your eyes and take a few slow, intentional breaths. With each breath, visualize a radiant light flowing from your heart, down your arms and into your palms. Feel the warmth, the tingling, the subtle vibration building between your hands. In this moment, your hands are alive with energy. They are ready to heal, ready to comfort, and ready to connect. Take a moment to notice how you feel right now. The stillness of your mind, the calm of your breath, the energy flowing through your palms. This is the state you want to be in before beginning any healing work. Remember, healing isn't rushed, it isn't forced. It's an act of presence, intention, and love. Now that you're prepared, we're ready to move into the actual healing techniques. Now that your mind is clear, your space is prepared, and your energy is activated, it's time to step into the heart of this journey, self-healing. Self-healing isn't just about fixing something that feels broken. It's about reconnecting with your inner energy flow, bringing balance to your body, mind, and spirit. The following hand positions are simple yet deeply powerful. They are designed to guide your energy to areas of your body that need healing, clarity, and peace. I'll walk you through them step by step. Take your time, trust the process, and most importantly, trust yourself. Let's start with the mind, the gateway to our thoughts, emotions, and inner peace. Gently place both hands on your forehead, fingertips touching lightly. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. With each inhale, imagine a cool, calming light flowing into your head, washing away tension, worry, and overthinking. As you exhale, release any mental chatter, letting your thoughts drift away like leaves on a stream. Stay here for as long as you need. Let this position soothe your mind and quiet the noise within. Now move your hands to your chest, right over your heart. This is the center of your emotions, your love, and your deepest truths. Take a deep breath in and feel your chest rise under your hands. As you exhale, imagine any heaviness or emotional pain dissolving into warmth and light. Whisper gently to yourself, "I am safe. I am loved. I am at peace." Allow this hand position to soften your heart and bring emotional balance to your spirit. Next, bring your hands down to your stomach. This area is often called the second brain because it holds so much of our emotional and physical energy. Take slow, steady breaths. With each inhale, feel your stomach expand, and with each exhale, release any knots, tension, or discomfort. Visualize a warm, golden light filling your abdomen, bringing harmony to your digestive system and balance to your core energy. Trust this energy to flow exactly where it's needed most. Finally, let's ground your energy. Place your hands on your knees, palms facing downward, connecting yourself with the earth below. Breathe deeply and imagine roots growing from your hands, anchoring you to the ground, steady and unshakable. With each exhale, release any remaining tension, stress, or scattered energy, letting it flow downward into the earth. Feel the stability, the calm, and the deep connection to the earth supporting you. You've now experienced 4 foundational hand positions for self-healing: calming the mind, healing the heart, balancing the gut, and grounding your energy. These techniques are simple, but they hold the power to shift your energy, bring clarity to your mind, and peace to your heart. The beauty of self-healing is that it doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for your presence and intention. Whether you spend 5 minutes a day or an hour in these positions, every moment you dedicate to your healing matters. Healing begins within us, but its power doesn't stop there. Once you've connected with your own energy and experienced its potential, you'll naturally feel called to share it with others. Healing someone else isn't about fixing them. It's about creating space, holding intention, and allowing energy to flow freely. But before you start, there are some important principles you must understand. The first and most important rule of healing others is consent. Healing energy is deeply personal, and it's essential to respect the boundaries of the person you're working with. Simply ask, "May I offer you some healing energy?" Even if you sense they need it, wait for their permission. This ensures the energy exchange begins with trust and openness. Before you begin, it's crucial to protect your own energy. Healing others can sometimes mean absorbing their emotional or physical burdens, and this can leave you feeling drained or overwhelmed. Take a moment to imagine a radiant golden light surrounding your body like a shield. See it glowing, strong, and impenetrable, protecting your energy while still allowing healing light to flow outward. Remind yourself, I am a channel, not the source. I am here to guide, not to carry. Let's begin with a simple yet powerful technique, direct healing. Have the person sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Place your hands lightly on or just above their body, on their shoulders, head, or chest. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and focus your intention on channeling healing energy. Imagine a warm light flowing from your heart, down your arms, and into your hands. As you hold this space, don't force the energy. Trust that it knows exactly where it needs to go. You are simply a conduit. Stay present, breathe deeply, and when you feel the session is complete, slowly lift your hands away. Healing isn't limited by physical space. You can send healing energy across distances, whether the person is in another room, another city, or even another country. Start by sitting comfortably with your hands in Gasho, the prayer position. Close your eyes and bring the image of the person you wish to heal into your mind. See them surrounded by radiant light. Focus your intention and gently say to yourself, "May you be healed. May you be at peace. May you be whole." Take slow, steady breaths and allow the energy to flow naturally. Trust the connection you've created and know that healing energy transcends time and space. When you're ready, release the image and take a moment to thank yourself for this act of love and compassion. After a healing session, it's important to care for yourself and the person you've worked with. Offer them a glass of water and encourage them to rest, reflect, and stay hydrated. For yourself, take a few deep breaths, shake out your hands, and thank your body for being a vessel of healing energy. Washing your hands or placing them on the earth for a moment can help release any residual energy and bring you back to a grounded state. Healing others is not about being a hero. It's about being present. It's about holding space without judgment, offering love without conditions, and trusting the energy to do its work. Sometimes the most profound healing happens not in words, but in silence. Not in doing, but in simply being. Every time you offer healing to someone, you're creating ripples of light in a world that desperately needs them. Now it's your turn. Practice one of these techniques today. Start with yourself, then share it with someone you love. Let me know in the comments. What did you feel during these exercises? Have you ever experienced healing energy before? If you found value in this video, subscribe for more spiritual insights and healing techniques. And if someone you love needs healing, share this video with them. You are powerful beyond measure. You are a healer, and the world needs your light.
I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we thank each and every one of you again individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and for offering us the gift of allowing us to experience each and every one of you in this way. We also thank you very much for your birthday wishes. It is, in that sense, heartfelt and felt deeply within our hearts. So we thank you. The idea, of course, is that the date that you call 11/11 simply is the date that corresponds to what you would call our date of birth and our own reality, but we don't have the same kind of calendars that you do. Thus, then, it is simply the idea of that which matches up in parallel with the sequence of days on your world. But even though we have in our world a similar length of day of what you call approximately 24 of your hours, we are farther from our star. Our year is longer and would be what you would call approximately 454 days in our orbit. The idea is that I was born in what we would consider to be the 55th day of our new year, in what you would approximately recognize as the year 3197 in our understanding of time. But our reality dimension operates on a frequency that is 10 times faster than yours. Thus then, the idea of the parallel date simply is that which is representative of the energy signature of connection between different levels and goes hand in hand with our calling as a contact specialist, in that we contact many different civilizations and form connections from one civilization to another, one level to another. And thus then exploring this energy today with you of the gateway that you yourself are going through, not only towards contact with us and other civilizations, but primarily for now going towards more contact with more of yourselves within your own consciousness. We will thus then be exemplifying the idea of that vibration of the gateway, of the opening of doorways, so that you can allow for your own energy to accelerate and for you to harmonize with that vibration of contact, both in an external and an internal fashion, so that the accelerated energies now, as you say, coming down the line as you cross this threshold of tipping the scales, going forward in your reality, shifting and shifting and shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality, you can thus then, by opening this gate and using this energy, form a direction for yourselves, like a compass needle, like a magnet, to attract yourselves more strongly to the vibrational resonances and harmonies that are representative of the reality you say you prefer, so that while you are shifting from parallel world to parallel world billions of times per second, you can allow that vibration to guide you unerringly in a more expansive way toward a sequence of realities that are more in keeping with the kind of world that you say you prefer to experience, so that you can exhibit within yourself those kinds of changes necessary to see the reflections in the outer world that are more representative of who you prefer to be and the kind of world that you prefer to create your experience of physical reality to be. Let us explore a little bit this vibration of 11-11-11, now that it is compounded in this way, reinforcing itself, in a sense, exponentially, reflectively. As has already been mentioned, the idea of the 11s acts as a reflective concept, reflective energy. And since physical reality is nothing really but a reflection of the energy that you give off, the vibration that you put out, it is appropriate as a symbolic permission slip to allow yourselves to amplify these reflections in a variety of particular ways. We will this day of your time in this transmission provide you with a couple of different permission slip meditations, permission slip exercises to aid and assist you in playing with this energy and opening up these gates in a new and different way and creating new perspectives within your consciousness that we, shall we say, ought to bring a little bit more fun in your lives. We will get to that in a few moments. The idea, however, is that, again, as has already again been mentioned, in our ancient language, which we no longer use, the word Ili represents the idea of the mirror, of the reflection, and is actually structured as such, spelled in your language as I-L-L-I. The idea thus being that as you begin to realize that everything is a reflection, as you begin to concretize this concept within your consciousness more and more, your perceptions of physical reality will begin to change. You'll begin to truly experience many things in a reflective way as other versions, other aspects of yourself, of your own consciousness, as true reflections, giving you feedback in a variety of specific vibratory ways to the things that are going on within your personality structure, your belief systems, your emotions, your thought patterns, your behaviors. As you begin to see physical reality as a reflection, it will start to resonate in different ways within the personality structure of your beliefs, of your emotions, of your thoughts and behaviors. And as it resonates, as it vibrates, those components of the personality structure, it will bring to the forefront in a more obvious way, in a more apparent way, in a clearer way, anything within your vibration that is not the frequency that you prefer, bringing it to the forefront of your consciousness from the unconscious mind, and allowing you more opportunity to deal with it, to integrate it, to blend with it, to allow it to transform in ways that will allow that energy to be part of, to join the rest of the energy within your being that is more representative of becoming more of your true self and creating a more reflective reality of that true self. There are many ways that this idea has been described, has been experienced from time to time in your reality. This idea of the 1111 has been experienced vibrationally in many different ways. Energetically, electromagnetically, physically, acoustically, musically, in a variety of ways has this been experienced throughout your history by individuals who understand its resonant power to reflect and amplify a particular and specific vibration that is representative of opening up to new dimensions of experience. The willingness. Look at the middle of the word. Willing. I-L-L-I. The willingness to open up to new reflections. There are no accidents in the structure of your language in this way. Everything is an orchestration of consciousness. And as you express this willingness to open up, more and more of this vibration will seep in to your being. More and more of this signature frequency will leak out of your being, resonate into the world, into the reflection, and bounce back in many different forms, in many different ways that give you more of an opportunity to understand and recognize who you truly are and to fine-tune and design who you truly wish to be. Now, the idea also is that the 11s are parallel lines, and this is also a reflection of the idea of shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality. The idea, as we have explained it a few times already, is that you are already shifting from parallel Earth to parallel Earth billions, literally billions of times per second, so smoothly you don't even know you're doing it. So the idea is that you don't have to learn to shift. The idea is that you simply need to awaken to the vibration that you prefer so that you guide yourself in these shifts that go on automatically within you from world to world, parallel reality to parallel reality, in such a manner as to allow for a sequence of experiences of different parallel realities that are more in the direction, more in the reflective direction you prefer to experience your world to be. But remember, each and every distinct parallel reality has no change within it. Change, what you call any kind of change itself is the experience of shifting from one static parallel reality to another, like jumping from one frame of film to another. Each frame has no motion. But the next frame is a little different, and the next a little different, and the next a little different. So that as you move the light of the projector through the frames, or move the frames in front of the projector light, you are thus then, like your consciousness, beaming a sequence of parallel realities into your consciousness, flowing through them or allowing them to flow through you in such a manner as to create the effect and the illusion, the sensation and the experience you call movement and change. But you never actually change any particular reality. You only change yourself. But as you change yourself, you have the experience of transformation, the experience of change going on within your consciousness. So, focusing on the idea of the 11-11-11 vibration as a way of connecting to parallel lines, parallel world, parallel realities, more strongly, more concretely, with that resonant frequency, you can thus use it as a guide, as a wave guide, in a sense, of parallel lines that will vibrate at a certain pitch that will represent the hallway you actually prefer to move down, to move through. And thus then, by instilling and infusing that particular pitch, that particular resonance in that waveguide hallway, in that channel, in that conduit, you can thus then allow yourself to be carried on that wave effortlessly, joyfully down that hallway, down that tube, down that conduit, so that you will not have to expend the idea of pain and strife and struggle, but can experience challenges in an exciting and joyful way. There are any number of ways that this idea of 11-11-11 are being expressed and experienced in the apparent changes now going on, in the shifting that is going on from parallel world to parallel world in your reality experience. There are many different shifts going on, as you know, and one of the strongest ones you are seeing on your planet is the idea of individuals expressing, finally, after many thousands of years, expressing the notion of self-empowerment, of not handing your power and giving your power away, but taking it back, standing tall in a sense, having a voice in a sense, and expressing your truth in a sense about what you believe is important as a representation of the kind of world, the kind of political, the kind of social, the kind of religious, the kind of ideas you wish to experience in your world. And thus then you are seeing on your planet many demonstrations of individuals expressing the idea that it is time to shift the power base from the few to the many, so that you can thus then be self-empowered individuals, and thus by being fully self-empowered individuals work harmoniously together with other self-empowered individuals, because when everyone is truly the fullest individual they can be, that's when you get true unity and harmony on your planet. It is not the idea of becoming homogeneous that creates unity. It is the idea of truly being the unique individual you were created to be. Thus then, by being that individual fully, you contain the vibratory frequencies, you contain the inspirations, you contain the imaginings necessary to allow you to see how it is that your place fits, that your piece fits automatically with every other piece also being their true selves. Just like all the puzzle pieces in the big picture are made to fit together to make the big picture. If you try to be a shape you're not, you won't fit. But if you are the shape you were created to be, you fit with all the other pieces beautifully and create the big picture that supports all of you. So you create the big picture, and the big picture creates the pieces. They support each other in a synergistic way. And again, this is another symbol and expression of the idea of these parallel lines, because not only do they function this way, they function this way. As above, so below. The idea that we will be expressing in tomorrow night's transmission of the 9 levels of consciousness will explain in great detail the idea of how all these levels, these parallel levels of consciousness that you have created yourself to be, work in conjunction with one another, how they relate to one another, how they exchange energy with one another in such a fashion as to connect you to all that is, while at the same time connecting you to the experience and grounding you to the experience you call physical reality. We will explain very clearly how to use all these levels in parallel in such a manner as to gain great effectiveness with all the other tools we have also shared with you over time. But now the idea right now that is going on your planet is again expressed in many different codes, in many different forms, in many different ways, even unto the idea of certain ancient texts that you have. It is expressed in this way as a precursor to the vibration that many individuals knew was to come. Even though there have been to some degree misinterpretations of many of your ancient texts, the ideas can be clearly seen for when certain events actually happen in your world. You can see exactly how they correspond, how they line up, how they parallel certain comments, certain sayings, certain paragraphs in some of your ancient texts. Using, just as one example, the idea you call your Bible, even though many people have interpreted many of the things within that particular document in ways that are not necessarily, shall we say, as direct as was the original intention of the delivery, you can still see certain patterns that are reflective of what's going on now on your planet. For if you are willing to take what you would call the 11th book of your Bible, which is the book called Kings, and go to the 11th paragraph and the 11th line, 11, 11, 11, you will find that it is talking specifically about the idea of the transfer of power from kings to the people. For that's what's going on right now on your planet. Kings are falling, the people are rising. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form meant in a negative fashion. It is not the idea of us versus them. It is the idea of understanding the timing of these things and the idea of the urging in a loving way. The urging in a loving way for those individuals that you have given your power over to, that it is now time for them to give that power back. Not in the sense that they are losing power, but they are actually gaining more power as an individual harmoniously aligned with all the other individuals, who thus then will represent a harmonious whole that will support everyone in totality. Time to give up the idea of lack, the idea of loss, the idea that there is not enough for everyone who is, in that sense, their true selves, their specific vibration, will attract into their lives exactly what they need, and not all of you need the same things. Not all of you will have the same kinds of reflections. But when you are your true selves, all the things that you do attract to yourselves will be exactly what you need and exactly what will fit with everything everyone else needs to attract to themselves as well. And when thus then on our Sunday time, we talk about the idea of the laws of attraction and repulsion, we will go into greater detail about this particular kind of permission slip, this particular kind of tool, and how you can use it very strongly and very effectively to let go of vibrational beliefs that are not yours and to attract those that are. So this 11-11-11 gateway will open you up to many different kinds of ways of looking at things, many different kinds of opportunities for you to utilize, to incorporate, to integrate, to infuse within your consciousness so that you can flow down that waveguide, flow down that channel, flow down that hallway of life in a joyful, creative way where you face any challenges that arise from creativity and from the knowledge that those challenges are simply there to allow you to grow as a spirit, as a soul, as a being in the way that you chose to explore. Your themes of exploration always reveal themselves in the challenges that arise in your life. That's what the challenges are, exposing the themes you chose to explore in this life. by using the idea of the energy of reflection and the 11-11-11 symbology and the vibration that is attendant to it, you will amplify and magnify your ability to deal with these challenges in a very effective and very creative way, so that they become something that is an experience of joy, so that you are willing to invite them in, so that you can transform them and amplify and magnify and accelerate your energy, and thus match the frequency of the threshold crossing that is represented by your year of 2012. Because remember, that crossing is simply literally the leading edge of your consciousness piling up on itself, catching up to itself, and bursting forth across that threshold to tip the scales, so that before that time frame, it is representative of the idea of having slightly more negative energy on your earth in totality. But after that threshold, after that crossing and the tipping of the scales, it is representative of finally having slightly more positive energy on your planet than negative. And that energy can snowball, as you say, and accelerate, and you can build on it. But you must match that frequency. You must catch up to that wave. You must ride that wave across the threshold in order for it to be most efficiently effective for you in your lives. So allow yourselves to let go. Be willing to open up to the idea of reflection as a joyful experience, as a creative challenge, as part of your path rather than an obstacle in it. There is no such thing as an impediment or an obstacle if you don't define it that way. So allow yourself the opportunity to relax, to begin to relax your definitions, to apply new definitions that are more representative of what you prefer your reality experience to be. Because when you do that, you are thus then taking full control of your self-empowerment in the fashion you were created by creation to be, and thus then giving meaning to the things in your life, which is what you were designed to do. For in that sense, without you, life has no meaning. You are designed to give life meaning. That is your gift. And thus then, by giving it the meaning that is more in harmony with who it is you prefer to be, you will have the reflections that follow suit. But again, remember, it does not matter that the outside world appears to change. It only matters that you change your relationship to the outside reflection. That is true change. Don't look for the idea of validation in the idea of change by looking in the reflection. Feel the experience of validation within you by simply knowing that no matter what happens and no matter how it looks, it must serve you in a positive way. And when you relate to reality and everything that happens in it, no matter how it looks, from that particular perspective, then you will be truly using the gateway power. You will open up that gateway conduit and ride that wave through that experience, passing that experience through yourself in such a manner as to cause resonant harmonics to build up within your personality structure and reveal to you all the things you need to know to integrate these energies as they come up to your attention. It is all about resonance. 1111 is like parallel tuning forks, vibrating in harmonic resonance, amplifying back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, building up, building up, building up, building up, powerful, 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 exponentially. Thus then, by amplifying yourself in this way, like two antennas resonating back and forth with one another, like two tuning forks resonating back and forth and amping each other up, you will allow yourself to feel the ease with which you can move through life as life moves through you. Do you all understand? Yes. All right. Now, we will, as we said, be sharing a couple of new tools with you this day of your time in this transmission. We will offer you one experience, one version of this tool now, and we will offer you one a little bit later on in this transmission, in harmony and in sync with some light and sound vibrations. But first, allow yourselves to simply become very comfortable, relax, and open up the conduit of your imagination, which is the communication conduit to your higher mind. And in relaxing, Allow yourself to image what we are about to say in your mind's eye. Now, imagine that you have a mirror. It can be large, small, separate from a wall. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you have the ability to look into this mirror, as long as the mirror has some kind of an edge. And imagine, thus then, that you are writing the number 11 on a piece of paper or any other medium that you wish, and you are thus placing this 11 in front of the mirror in such a manner that you can see both the one you've written on the paper and its reflection in the mirror, so that the paper and the reflection together show 11:11. Thus then, once you have done that, allow yourself thus then to focus on this 11:11, part in your reality, part in the mirror's reality. And allow yourself to feel vibrations, whatever the idea of the number of 11, whatever resonance you find works for you in your imagination, imbue and infuse the idea of the 11 on the paper with that frequency, and allow yourself to also imagine that the reflection in the mirror is also vibrating at that frequency. As you imagine that the vibratory frequency passes from the paper into the reflection in the mirror, you can also begin to imagine that the mirror itself is starting to vibrate at that frequency. And as you begin to imagine that the mirror itself is vibrating at that frequency, you can recognize that all it's doing is reflecting to you the frequency that is going on in your reality outside the mirror. So you have created a kind of vibratory feedback loop. The vibration in your reality, the vibration of the 11 on the paper, transferring to the reflection of the paper in the mirror, transferring to the mirror, which reflects back to you the same vibration, round and round and round and round in a kind of a circular way. Just allow yourself to sit with this vibration, to sit in this vibration for a moment in your imagination and just feel it coursing through you. A nice, gentle, vibratory hum. Now, I am going to ask you to think about this mirror, to view this mirror in a different way than you normally view the idea of a mirror. We have talked about the idea of parallel realities. I am asking you now to do the following thing in your imagination. Imagine, if you are willing, to see the mirror not as a reflective surface of your reality, but see it as a window into an actual, real, parallel reality that exists at the same time as yours, in which there is an identical version of you doing exactly the same things you're doing at the same time. Look through it like a clear piece of glass that is not your reflection. It's another version of you in another reality looking back at you, doing exactly the same things at the same time, because these are parallel realities. Start to let this idea sink in, that you're actually looking through a window, through a gateway, through an opening into an actual parallel reality with another version of you that just happens to be doing exactly the same things you are doing simultaneously. So if you touch your nose, so will that version of you in that reality. But it's not a reflection. They're just doing the same things at the same time and looking at you as if you are their reflection in their mirror. But as you begin to allow this concept that you're looking through a window instead of into a mirror to sink in, you can begin doing different things to watch the other you in the other reality that is a true autonomous being in its own reality, his or her reality. You can begin to do different things, touch your nose, touch your ear, touch your eye, make different faces, make different signs and symbols, and watch that version of you also doing the same things at the same time, because they, from their point of view, are doing those things in their mind first. And just watching you as the parallel reality to them, mimicking the same things at the same time, because you are their parallel reality. You are their reflection. Allow this idea to become more and more concrete, more real. Truly, truly, that is another person. Truly, truly, they just happen to be doing exactly what you're doing at the same time. Now, as you continue to do this, and as you continue to watch your parallel reality counterpart apparently choosing to do the same things at the same time that you are choosing to do them, now let your imagination create just one small, subtle, surprising difference. Maybe you touch your nose and maybe they touch their eye. Something is just slightly different than it was before. And you catch it. You catch the difference and you stop and you feel the shock wave go through you that this is truly a different reality, that the reflection is no longer identical. Similar, but not the same. And now you begin to amplify the idea that this is truly another person in another reality looking at you with what appears to be the same face, but it isn't yours, it's theirs. As you begin to experience more and more and more of the idea that they're doing things slightly differently than you, those differences can become more magnified. The lines, the parallel lines, in a sense, can begin to widen and diverge. So that even as you are watching, you are shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality to parallel reality, seeing different parallel realities through that glass, through that window, and seeing the subtle differences and then the greater differences that are happening in that world from yours. And you can even see the look of astonishment and surprise on the face of your parallel counterparts as they recognize that you are no longer their reflection, but a true being in another reality doing something that is similar but different from what they are doing. And you can begin to truly relate to one another as different aspects of the same soul, but in different realities, experiencing things somewhat simultaneously, somewhat similarly, but not the same. Thus then, as you create more and more differences, you can begin to realize that what you can do is send the vibratory energy of the 1111 gate into this scenario so that you are one of the ones in the 11 and he and she is one of the ones so that you each become the 11. One of the ones in the 11. You become each a tuning fork, each a parallel line to each other, and you resonate to each other in such a manner that as you send these waves back and forth through the window, back and forth to each other, you build up this energy in such a fashion that you can each start to imagine the reality you wish to see, you desire to see, you prefer to see yourself in that reality, in that parallel world. Build up this image, change this image, visualize this image of that parallel reality becoming, shifting to the ideal reality you prefer. See all the things happening in that reality through that window that are representative of the reality you prefer to experience and seeing yourself in that reality through the auspices of this identical partner you have now created in this simultaneously coexisting parallel version of yourself in that reality, who is seeing the same things in you, seeing the realities they prefer. And as you allow yourself to allow the reality on the other side of the glass to become exactly representative, precisely representative of that reality you prefer to experience, and knowing that at the same time they are doing the same thing for themselves, feel the vibration of the 1111 gateway amplifying, connecting you, locking you together. Feel it magnify and amplify to a great degree the energy of excitement, the energy, the thrill of seeing that reality being lived knowing it is real. And feel the vibrations for that reality and your reality now approaching the glass, approaching the glass, approaching the glass until the glass vibrates and resonates. And then the vibrations from one reality to another cross. And you are hit with the frequency of that reality, and that version of you is hit with the frequency of their ideal reality on your side of the glass. And you exchange instantaneously those vibrations, those realities. Let them sink in. And as the vibrations once again settle down, harmonize, you go back to the idea of seeing the glass as a mirror, seeing it be a reflection, an actual reflection that is now a reflection of the ideal reality with you in it. It is truly your reflection, your reality, your vibration, harmonized, synchronized, locked as one parallel reality stream. Even as you know that your counterpart is now experiencing exactly the same thing on their side for their ideal reality vibration. And you have assisted each other, worked with a parallel reality counterpart to assist each other in strengthening, amplifying, magnifying, and locking in the vibration of the reality you prefer and doing the same for them. And let that vibration now be your vibration. Let it become familiar as your vibration. Let the reflection be your reality. Let it be a reflection of the true you. And look back down at the 11 reflection in the paper 11. And know that anytime you wish, as you pick up the paper with the 11 on it, and see yourself holding that 11 in the reflection of the mirror that reflects your new reality, anytime you wish, you can avail yourself of this permission slip, this tool, this exchange. Anytime you wish to fine-tune, refine any idea of better harmonization with that reality of your preference, you can always, once again, use that as the phone number of the parallel reality of your counterpart. Place it next to the mirror so you can see the 1111 in the reflection, and dial the number up once again, and know unerringly that your counterpart will always be there on the other side of the glass, on the other side of the window, because they're doing exactly the same thing at the same time, because they're there to help you as you are there to help them. And this is one way to allow yourself truly to experience the idea of cross-connecting energies between parallel reality selves to aid and assist each other in really truly becoming more and more of who you wish to be, who you prefer to be. This is one way to truly amplify, magnify, and lock in a relationship with yourself, a relationship of reflection, a relationship of willingness to be more and more of who you are by being of service to other counterparts and allowing them to become more and more of who they are at the same time. Take a deep breath in and lock this 11 energy within yourselves. It is yours to use. You are, in that sense, constantly shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality. You are parallel reality beings. That is your nature. You don't have to learn how to do it. You do it automatically. You just need to learn to guide it in the direction of your preferential vibration. It's as simple as that. Now, as we say later on in this transmission, we will use another variation of this particular permission slip exercise and create a slightly different kind of relationship, but we will surprise you with that later. In return for the gift that you are giving us in resonating with us in this gateway, this day of your time, we will thus then ask, in what way may we now be of service to you from our parallel reality to yours? You may begin with your interactions and questions if you so desire, and if you are willing.
One of the things we will also be discussing in this segment is the whole concept of in a sense, what you call manifestation. Many of you, when you think about the idea of attempting to manifest something, bring it into your reality, make it appear, solidify it, crystallize it, make it experiential, are coming from a point of view, also definitionally and belief system related, that it is something that does not exist in your reality, that you are attracting into or bringing into your reality, that somehow it is ephemeral and non-physical, and you have to somehow make it solid, make it appear, make it real. That is not the case. What it is that is representative of your preference and what you call your desires to manifest already exists in your reality. It is already manifest. The idea of manifestation is not bringing something that doesn't exist into existence or attracting something over there and bringing it over here. The idea is that what you desire to manifest is already here, already existent, already real. Manifestation is the process of giving yourself the ability to realize, to perceive that it is already here. You do not have to do any magical thing to make it come into existence. It is already existent. It's already within your sphere of reality. It is just that your belief system makes it invisible to you. So manifestation is not the process of actually conjuring something out of nothing. It is the process of making the invisible visible. And that simply requires an alteration of perception. That's all it takes. So we are going to be talking about that idea as well. And let us begin right there. The idea of one of the mechanisms of manifestation that allows the invisible to become visible is something that uses the power of paradox very strongly. We often talk about the idea of paradox as the recognition that you are in a very powerful place, right in the center of your power. Because what to you may seem paradoxical, what to you may seem contradictory, two opposing ideas that cannot necessarily seem to coexist, but do coexist, tells you right then and there that there must be a middle ground from which they both come. And that middle ground, that balance point, is your place of power from which you have generated the apparently paradoxical and apparently contradictory concepts. But because you can perceive them both, it tells you that just the perception of those things alone tells you that you are actually in the center of those things, that they come from the center of your being, and that you're simply seeing reflections of the polarity, expressions of the polarity of creation. But polarity within you combines and interacts in a very specific way to generate your true perfect place of balance and perfect place of power. So when you see paradox, rejoice, because it is telling you that you're standing right at the center of your creative self and have the ability to thus then manifest and transform and make the invisible visible very quickly. Let us explain a little bit more clearly about the idea of the paradoxical nature of the mechanism of manifestation. Many of you have been taught to think about the idea of manifestation as an issue of intention, and as an issue of focus, as an issue of concentration. And in a sense, this is accurate. However, a very important point is often left out, or at the very least, sometimes this point is spoken of independently, and so no connection is made to the idea as a whole concept. The two seemingly paradoxical issues here are intention, focus, and concentration, and conversely on the other side, what you have often heard in many metaphysical and New Age information sources, the idea of surrender and letting go. These two things are not diametrically opposed. They are not mutually exclusive. They work together in a whole mechanism. In other words, the secret, one direction of the paradoxical mechanism is the idea of intention, focus, and concentration, and then, after that has been done, letting go and surrendering and letting the intention, focus, and concentration do its job on higher levels. working these two things, linking these two things together gives you the entire mechanism of manifestation, or at least one direction of the energy. We will discuss the other direction in a moment. But first, let us again amplify this concept. And again, understand this connects to the notion of the 15-minute time span in the following way. Any time that you have a desire or a preference for a manifestation, the idea, yes, is that in a sense it must be representative of your passion, it must become your world. The intention, the focus, in a sense, the concentration, is there if that is representative of your passion, because when something is representative of your passion, you're automatically focused on it. You automatically intend it. You're automatically concentrating all of your attention on that idea, because that's what passion does. If you are passionate about something, there is no other choice. There is no other consideration. All other things fall by the wayside. That is a true description of the idea of being in your passion. There simply is no other choice. So there is automatic focus, automatic intention. If then, in what you call a peaceful state or a meditative state or a focused state, you allow yourself to image that passionate idea, that manifestation that is desired, and feel it, and build that energy up in your energy, in your emotions, in your passion. Build that energy to a peak over the course of simply 15 minutes and no longer, sometimes even less. When you get proficient at it, you don't always need all 15 minutes, but 15 minutes at the most is all that is necessary for you to activate the idea of the wheels, of the gears, and put it in motion with regard to the idea of allowing the invisible to become visible. But when you do that, when you build it to a peak over the course of a few minutes or 15, the next step is to completely and utterly let it go. Forget about it. Stop caring about it. Let it go. Surrender it utterly to the higher self. Let the higher self now do the job. You see, physical reality, while apparently complicated at times, is actually not extremely complex. In a sense, it is actually built on very simple principles, and you don't actually have to do very much to get the ball rolling. So, because your physical mind, as we have said a few times, is not designed to understand how things are going to happen, how things are going to manifest, the how is the purview of the higher mind, and because the physical mind does not actually have the capacity, the capability to understand, it is not designed to understand how that's going to happen, all it needs to do is flip the switch and let the higher mind do the how, do the things that are necessary to cause the synchronicities in your life that need to be there, and the downloads and the inspiration that needs to come to you to allow the invisible to become visible, to allow the manifestation to occur. So all you need to do is do it a little bit for no longer than 15 minutes, bring that up to a full peak of passion, a full peak of imagination, a full peak of visualization, however it is you wish to do it, with that intensity, that concentration, and that focus, and then utterly, utterly, utterly let it go. Now, we understand again that because of certain negative beliefs, many of you find it difficult to actually let it go. But that is very important, because without the letting go side, you don't actually have the whole mechanism engaged. It is important to understand that the intensity, focus, and concentration must be paired with the surrendering and the letting go to actually have the whole mechanism of manifestation. This is using the power of paradox built in to this idea, to this process, to this permission slip. Letting go means you really know that the higher mind is doing its job, and you can now relax. The physical mind can relax. It doesn't need to do anything else. It is not required, nor is it capable of doing anything else. So really, 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 when you know this, you can allow your mind, your physical mind, to just let it go. knowing it is in good hands, in a sense, and get on about your day focusing on the next most exciting thing you are capable of taking action on. At the same time, again, you must be clear, as we already said, about your motivations to ensure that what it is you are focusing on, what it is you are surrendering to, is truly representative of your highest passion, instead of something that is simply being labeled as such to actually act as an avoidance of what your highest passion actually could be. This is where you have to really be clear, again, about the idea of what beliefs you are dealing with. Because many of you often fool yourselves and trick yourselves through the negative belief system into thinking that you're acting on your excitement, when in fact you're actually acting out of anxiety and covering it up because you're afraid to look at the idea of what it is that actually does excite you because of all the negative beliefs you've attached to it. So clearing out your motivational mechanism and finding out what beliefs you have attached to it is the primary, first, and fundamental process that is required in order to actually use the tool of manifestation in a clear and concise and precise manner. Once you have your motivation clear and you know that what you are focusing on is truly representative of your passion, then you will find that this mechanism of manifestation works very, very strongly, very well, and often very rapidly. But the idea, again, is that you cannot worry it there. You cannot make it happen. You cannot insist that it must happen at a certain time and in a certain way, because then you are once again putting conditions on it. You are not allowing yourself to truly let it go. You are not allowing thus then the higher mind to do its job. You're actually blocking the entire process by keeping, in a sense, the control, or trying to keep control of the situation within the physical realm. And the physical realm is not designed to handle energy in that way. It does not have the ability. It does not have the capacity to do the job of the higher self. It simply doesn't work in physical reality that way. It would be as if you dove down under the sea with your breathing apparatus, and then instead of allowing yourself to rise to the surface and taking your mask off, taking your breathing apparatus off, and taking a deep breath up there to go back into that realm, it is as if you are insisting, by trying to control it in physical reality, it is as if you are taking off your mask, taking off your breathing apparatus underwater, and inhaling, and wondering why you start choking, and wondering why you cannot see that far anymore, why things are suddenly murky and muddy, and why you are suddenly drowning. The idea is you must allow yourself, your whole self, to participate in this idea of creation of your reality. And you are not a whole self. You are not a whole person unless you allow the physical mind and the higher mind to work in concert. We know many of you have been taught to think that the idea of the higher mind, being that it is non-physical, is somehow not really a part of who you are as a person. It's something else, somewhere else, on another plane, on another level, and has nothing to do with what you're supposed to be doing as a personality in terms of guiding yourself through life. But that is not the case. In order to actually move through physical reality as a whole person, you need the back and forth. You need to work in concert. You need a partnership between physical mind and higher mind so that you can actually function as a whole person and use each component in the way it was designed to be used, so that you can then allow the mechanism of manifestation and the creation of your reality to work in an effortless and aligned way with the idea of the vibration of yourself as a total being.
Helpful. I think that's a nice in-depth exploration of reflections for sure. So thank you for that.
Yes, there is always some need within them that is not being met, and it may have nothing to do with what they're saying. You have to find out what is the basic need that is not being met in this individual that they would lash out or project in that way. It is usually, again, about issues of not being or feeling loved or not feeling worthy or deserving or something along that line, fundamentally, that would cause an individual to project onto another what it is that they feel they are incapable of giving themselves, and resenting what another individual may remind them of in terms of their inability to not give that to themselves.
I'm sure if we all apply this, the people on Earth would get along a lot better.
Yes, they would.
You've talked about the value as individuals of remaining in the neutral point between the positive and the negative, as it allows all viewpoints to be valid. Can this be applied by the collective itself? If so, can you describe some aspects of what that would look like on Earth?
Well, it would be what I have described as the civilization on my world, that is operating on pure synchronism, is telepathically bonded in unconditional love, and experiences the idea of clarity every single moment while we are walking through a multidimensional dream. That is how you would experience it on Earth were you to evolve to that point.
And how does the idea of the collective consciousness work with the idea that we are constantly navigating to different vibrational versions of Earth? How is it possible for us to continually shift into different realities while simultaneously being part of a collective?
Because consciousness is everywhere. Remember that you're dealing, when you shift, not only with your own individual consciousness, with the collective consciousness of your world, but with the collective consciousness of all that is on different levels of expression. So the idea is that consciousness is everywhere. There is no place that consciousness is not. So you simply adapt a different form, a different expression of consciousness, and utilize connections to all levels of consciousness while you experience the shifting.
Okay, and can you expand on the idea of raising our frequency in relation to our sun? I understand that different versions of Earth have the same sun, and although Willa lives on a different version of Earth, that version still circles around the same sun as our version of Earth.
No, it does not. When you shift completely into a completely different universe. Completely different. It may look the same, but it's not the same. So no, when you shift, you are not orbiting the same star.
Okay.
Just as you are on a different version of Earth, you are in a different version of the universe with different stars that, again, may look similar, but those are the stars of that universe.
Okay. So this person is asking about the Anuhet.
Yes.
She says, once I had a clairvoyant interaction with a feminine entity, which I think is an Anuhet woman. I think she is that because of the way she was way ahead of Willa in terms of frequency and non-physicality, but still as human as one can get. It was the experience that made me understand that there is much more to reality. Is that entity in that role my most probable future life experience? And in what way were you and Willa connected to her on her paths?
It is a probable future life experience, as you term these things linearly, because you are focusing on it and experiencing a connection to it. So it can be possibly a future self. Our connection, Willa is representative of your Earth when the sixth hybrid race is fully forming. My connection as the third hybrid race is part of the union of all the hybrid races, so that when Earth becomes the sixth hybrid race, we all blend together to become the seventh.
Okay, and recently you shared a meditation technique for ringing the bell at Bell Rock. and I've meditated there in the past. Since I live at a distance, I'm curious if replicating the experience in my mind while meditating at home produces the same effect, or is it less effective than when it's done remotely?
It depends upon your understanding of time and space and your belief system. Since distance is an illusion, if you truly understand that, then your meditation at home can be just as effective as actually being in present with Bell Rock, because you would understand that at home and in present is no different if you understand that distance is an illusion.
So it's all dependent on your belief system.
And your understanding of time and space.
And space. Okay, and this person's asking about the Mitchell-Hedges skull. They were in a private session with the Mitchell-Hedges skull, and they brought their clear crystal skull to absorb the energy of the Mitchell-Hedges skull. How much information does one crystal skull absorb from another? And what kind of information can a crystal skull reflect back to you?
All the information that is absorbed and all the information that is reflected to any particular individual is all the information that is relevant for that individual's life path. It doesn't necessarily absorb all of the information in a master skull like the Mitchell-Hedges skull, but it will absorb everything that is relevant for the individual connected to the skull that is doing the absorbing.
Okay, and can you give us a little guidance on making sense of our dreams? And the way this is expressed is, how can we make more sense of them even when they seem completely random and easy to discount?
Well, again, remember, there are different kinds of dreams. Sometimes if you're having an experience out of body, your physical mind will use whatever symbols make sense to it to represent or symbolize the experience you had, but there may not necessarily always be enough symbols or enough representative symbols to make complete sense out of what was going on a different level of reality. So sometimes the dream can be highly symbolic, and if you have an understanding of the symbols and how you relate to those symbols, sometimes even understanding that you are everything in the dream and what those symbols mean to you as different aspects of yourself being reflected back to you, and what they symbolize to you about different components of your consciousness, then you will have a clearer understanding of what the dream, quote unquote, means to you.
So I guess that can help when people do like dream journals, and they start keeping track of the different symbols that repeatedly show up in their dreams.
Yes, even if they don't repeatedly show up, you can still have a relationship to a symbol by meditating on what the symbol represents to you.
And that can be especially true when you wake up in the morning before you fully come out of the dream state?
Yes, it is easy to remember the dream if you stay with it and not just jump out of bed. Another way to look at it is if you have any proficiency with any other divination system, like tarot cards or such, you can start treating the dream symbols in the same way that you would treat the symbols on a tarot card or any other divination system.
That sounds interesting. This question is, can you define observations, perspectives, opinions, and judgments?
Observations are neutral. Perspectives are your particular point of view that can still be neutral. Judgments, in the way that typically humans mean that, usually goes into some sort of adding your opinion, your belief, a perspective that may or may not be positive or negative into the mix of your observation. In other words, judgments and opinions represent the filtering of observations through your particular belief system, whether it's positive or negative, as to what it is you are observing, what your perspective of it is. Perspective can sometimes already be representative of a filtering through your belief system, which is why you have that perspective, although there are neutral perspectives as well. So basically, observations can be neutral, perspectives can be neutral, but can be representative of filtering through a belief. Judgment.
And when we're following our highest excitement, can you help us understand where rest, entertainment, diversions are necessary and how to know where to place them in our reality so that we don't get out of balance with it?
Well, again, if you actually are living in the vibration of your passion, the things that you need, including things like rest and entertainment, relaxation, would synchronistically be obvious to you as part of your passion, part of your excitement, when they are necessary for bodily replenishment and so on and so forth. In much the same way that you know when it's time to eat when you are hungry. So when you are truly living in your passion, there will be other kinds of senses that you will develop that will tell you, now it's time to rest. In the same way that you have a signal that now it's time to eat because you feel hungry. So the idea is to include all of those things in the vibration of your passion and let synchronicity organize them all in a way that allows you to hone your senses to be able to tell when certain things are necessary within your passion, within your excitement.
So also what you're saying, I guess, is that as long as the more precise you are in following the formula, the more accurate your interpretations of the signals you receive will be. For example, if a person is having issues with their weight, they might get constant signals that it's time to eat, but that's more of a reflection of being out of balance.
Yes.
But if you're following the formula more precisely and you are experiencing the higher vibrational state that comes with your passion, where everything falls into place, where everything is synchronistically aligned, then you will receive those messages in a balanced way.
Yes, because if you pay attention to people who are following their passion, just to use the example we have already suggested, you will recognize that sometimes people will hardly ever feel hungry. They will feel hungry when they need to. They will not feel excessively hungry because they are so focused on their passion that they're getting energy and getting support in another way. And then when they truly need sustenance to support their body, then and only then will they start to feel hungry. They will feel hungry no other time.
So if you look at the human beings you've been interacting with for a long time, and you see their progress in terms of utilizing the formula and becoming more and more precise at it, are there sort of like stages that people go through with it so that at some point you cross a line and you're actually so much more accurate than you might have been in the beginning when you were misinterpreting anxiety for passion, etc.?
Yes, of course there are stages. Stages of understanding, stages of, as you say, wrapping your mind around something, really making it real for you, really having a knowing of how it works. Again, it goes through stages in much the same way that you learn how to walk as a child. There are the stages where you're simply lying flat. There are the stages when you begin to move around and crawl. There are the stages when you finally balance yourself enough to walk. There's the stage when you finally learn to balance yourself enough to run. And then there are the stages when you finally achieve things that you consider to be certain forms of athletics, where you can leap and bound and do other things, somersault and so on and so forth. So yes, there are energetic stages like that in our observations of people and their understanding levels of the formula. We can tell when you're crawling, we can tell when you're walking, we can tell when you're running, we can tell when you're leaping.
How can you help us know where we are in terms of our progress on that, like what stage we're at?
We can only assist you by helping you to understand how to clarify your own self-investigations about why you believe what you believe and what's holding you back in your belief system. What it is that prevents you from having a clear understanding of the principles of the formula. So that's how we help you, by clearing out your attic of any beliefs that are holding you back from your pure understanding of the formula.
So basically, since we're manifesting all the time,
Yes.
it's all based on when you manifest something, how you react to it, how
Yes.
you respond to it,
Yes.
where you get confused, where you get clarity. And that's what really shows you what stage you're at in terms of working with these concepts.
Yes.
Great. And this is a person asking about the formula, so let me see if, okay, if someone hasn't been following their excitement for a while and then they start to follow it again in any given moment, what happens? And you said that the only way to miss an appointment that's meant for you is to worry about missing it.
Yes.
Can you expand on what happens if someone misses an appointment? Does it queue back up again and come back around for another opportunity?
Yes, it always does if you're paying attention, if you're willing to understand that that is happening. You will always be given another opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean it's not possible to simply miss it for the entire lifetime. Because if you keep refusing the opportunities, if you go into a negative vibration that makes it almost impossible for you to see the opportunities because you're not on a vibratory level to perceive them, then yes, that can happen for an entire lifetime. And then when you are non-physical, when you go into spirit and look at your life review, you might go, oh, look at all the missed opportunities. Look at all the times I could have been willing to pay attention to the opportunities, but I just didn't. But you will still learn a lesson from that. So there is always another opportunity to learn the lesson, always another opportunity to choose something where you can apply the information and the knowledge of that lesson. Whether you are still physical or not is not the key. It's whether or not you simply arrive at a point ultimately where you're finally recognizing that there is an opportunity to learn the lesson and do something with it.
So when you reach the stage of the formula where you're expressing a higher level of precision, what are some of the kinds of things that can happen in that circumstance? And does that then indicate that when you're looking at scenarios outside of yourself or apparently outside of yourself that are negative, where it's war or all of these kinds of things, once you're in that higher vibrational state, does it mean that you are actually looking through the glass wall at these activities and that you need to know that when you're in that higher vibrational state?
When you are in that vibrational state, you are operating on synchronism in the same way that we do. You see reality for what it is, your projection of consciousness. You explore everything with curiosity. Nothing makes you react in a negative way. You remain neutral and positive in your approach to everything. You act immediately and fully on every opportunity that represents your excitement and your passion. You are your true self, and you feel transparent to yourself and are willing to look at everything within yourself and accept everything that manifests in your life as an opportunity to experience more and more expansion and more knowledge. You start really becoming lucid in the physical reality dream.
Sounds wonderful.
It is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now, this person is telling a personal story that they have, and I will give this information. She says that she was a prostitute 10 years ago,
Yes.
and she got caught by a lot of people, but she healed herself, and she's a different person now. And she's trying to let go of her past, but people still remember who she was. So everyone who knows me has heard about it, is what she says. And meeting new people, even abroad, they seem to become discovering of her past. So she wants to understand, how can she be present and forgive herself, because it's now causing her to be afraid to start something new, because she feels like it'll just keep coming back and haunting her.
All right. Well, there's two ways to approach this. First of all, she herself may not be really letting go of that persona if she really truly wishes to. So she may be walking into new relationships in fear that she is going to bring that persona forward, or that someone is going to know about that persona. So she's holding on to the persona for some reason. She has to look at her belief systems about what she's getting out of doing that and really, truly let it go if it really doesn't belong to her anymore. She has a different past if she's truly a different person. The idea that someone might point it out to her, might quote unquote remember who she was, is simply an opportunity for her to see if she's still reacting to it in the same old way, or saying, but that's not who I am. The second approach to this can be to remind people that everyone was a different person in the past, no matter what it is they expressed, no matter who it is they were being. So just as someone might point out to her that she was different in the past, then she can point out to them, but so were you. Who did you used to be in the past that you no longer are? Can we relate to each other as people in the present and let go of the past? Can we simply be here now? So that's the two approaches. She has to find out if she's holding on to that past persona for some reason that she believes serves her, or if she's just testing herself to see if she can let it go, and at the same time can remind others who pointed out to her that they themselves also have past selves that they may not be letting go of, or that they have let go of, and to simply